Hey guys, welcome back to CL Learning. Today we're going to be discussing acidosis versus alkalosis. This is going to be the first video of many videos on different nursing topics. Topics that gave me a lot of trouble during nursing school, and this was one of them. I think the way it was explained was too convoluted, too many numbers, too many explanations. So I'm going to try to, let's say, cut the fat, so to speak. So throughout this, I just need you to remember three things. I need you to remember what a normal pH looks like, which looks between 7.35 and 7.45. I need you to remember what HCO3 looks like, bicarb, which is 22 to 26, and I need you to remember what CO2 looks like, which is 35 to 45. And that is it. In another video, I'll go more into the pathophysiology of alkalosis and all that other stuff of how it happens, but this one's more just for you to be able to answer these questions on a test, because I know some nursing schools do have separate tests just based on these things. Like they'll just give you a bunch of numbers and they'll ask you, what the hell, what is this? Is it, metabolic acidosis? Is it compensated, uncompensated? So we will be discussing some of that stuff later on. Now, in terms of acidosis, some of you obviously probably already know these things. I'm pretty sure some of you took AP Bio to get into nursing school. But if you didn't, that's why I'm here. Just going to refresh you a bit. Anything that's below that 7.35 number is acidic. Acidic, right? It's acidosis. And anything that's above that 7.5 number is alkalosis. That is it. That's all you have to remember with pH. Anything that's above this number is alkalosis. Anything that's below this number is acidosis. Sorry. That is it, guys. That's how simple this is. Now you have one of the three numbers you got to remember. Okay. The other two, I use this example to help me. I view it more from a Shrek 1, Shrek 2 perspective, where I designated Shrek to be my carbon dioxide and Prince Charming to be my bicarb. It's how I just remember things. I kind of just associate things with numbers and concepts and all that stuff. So for the remainder of the video, I will be referring to carbon dioxide as an ogre, and I'll be referring to bicarb as Prince Charming or a knight. But yeah, so let's talk about metabolic acidosis. What is metabolic acidosis? In metabolic acidosis, there's a problem with how many nights your kidneys produce. So, normally your kidneys produce anywhere between 22 and 26 nights. Here, it's anything below 22. So, if you have a question on your exam, right, first you want to find out what the pH is. If the pH obviously is below that number that we talked about earlier, 7.35, then it's acidic. Okay, so let's say for this example, it's 7.28. Good, it's acidic, right? They find out that the bicarb here is 19. Okay, and the CO2 is nothing. It's just the same, so it's 37. Right? What does this look like to you? You're getting three different numbers, right? You have the pH, you have the CO3, and you have the CO2. The bicarb tells you that your kidneys are not producing enough nights. Right? It's below that 22 number. Okay, so what does this mean? It's a problem with the metabolism. Not enough nights leads to too many ogres. So too many ogres in the blood, too much filth in the blood leads to acidosis. Okay. Now, this is the fun part. This is where you get to see if it's compensated or uncompensated. Compensated just means that the body's doing something to counteract this, right? To counteract the amount of nights or the amount of ogres in your blood. So if the CO2 is the same, and by the same I mean between that 35 and 45 number, then it's uncompensated. The body hasn't done anything to help to regain that pH going up. But if the CO2 is 30, which is below that 35 number, your body's blowing off any extra acid, so any extra ogres that would make your blood acidic, to counteract the decreased number of nights in your blood. So this would be compensated. And yeah, so just to recap, in metabolic acidosis, you have pH that goes down, a bicarb that goes down, and a CO2 that goes down or stays the same if it's compensated or uncompensated. You could also get something where the pH is somewhere like went from 7.28 to 7.34, and the CO2 is like 36. Now, if you have the before and after shot, then there is some compensation going on. So the CO2, although it's not below that threshold, you can see that the body's moving towards that compensation. So that would be partly compensated. Let's not get into that. Let's just talk about compensation and non-compensation. That's for a topic for another day. So now let's talk about respiratory acidosis. Now in this scenario, essentially what happens is that there's just too many ogres in the blood, too much CO2, there's too much filth. Right? So in this case, your CO2 would be like 50. Remember, find your pH first. In this case, your pH obviously is 7.31. Right? So as you can see, this has gone up, this is down. And to find out if it's compensated or not, your HCO3, right, would either be between that 22 and 26 number, meaning that it's uncompensated, or it would be above the 26 threshold, right? In other words, your kidneys are producing more nights to fight off the more ogres that have just entered your system, right? That's how you know it's compensated, through this number. And that's how you know it's respiratory, because of this number. Because if you look at here, right, the CO2 was down. The CO2 was either down or the same. In here, the CO2 is more, right? It's above that threshold of 45, and it's acidic. So in this case, you get that scenario where its pH is down, but the CO2 is up, and if it's compensated, the bicarb's up. Okay, so you get down, up, up. Okay, and this one you got all down, down. Okay. Now, let's talk about metabolic alkalosis. Now, in this one, the problem is that you just don't have enough ogres. You know, your body's doing something that's getting rid of that ogre naturally. Right, so it's getting rid of that acid. Now, like I said, I don't want to get to the pathophysiology. Let's just say maybe your patient is puking up a lot of food, right, or whatever it is. You know, they're nauseous, vomiting, and that's getting rid of a lot of acid. Right? So how do you know that it's metabolic? How do you know it's metabolic and not respiratory? Right. So how you know is, again, the nights. Right. In this scenario, your HCO3 will be up. Okay, it'll be above that regular threshold. Right. It would be somewhere. It doesn't matter. Anything above 26. Right. So naturally, it's 26. Right. And you know it's alkaline because the pH is above that 7.45 threshold. Alkaline, sorry. Right? So this is 26. There's too many knights. What happens when there's too many knights and not enough ogres to fight? Right? So the way I like to see it too is, if there's too many knights and they get bored and they have nothing to do, so they go to the bar, they start to drink, they start to fight, they start to catch stuff on fire, right? It becomes pure panic, and you don't want that, right? So what's happening is the body wants to introduce more challengers to fight off this increase. So in this scenario, let's say that your bicarb is 30, your body will want to retain more carbon dioxide to fight off, to give these knights something to do, so they're not bored and burning the whole damn village down, right? So your CO2 will probably look like 50, right? Will be up, okay? If that's compensated. If it's uncompensated, then it'll be between that threshold again, but it'll be up. So in this scenario, you get a pH that's up, a bicarb that's up, and a CO2 that looks like up. And then if you look back at where we were during your metabolic acidosis, they were all down. But now they're all up. So everything's up. Right? Now let's look at respiratory alkalosis. In this scenario, your body's just not retaining a lot of ogres. Okay, so your CO2 is a deciding factor here. Okay, so again, your pH is above that 7.45 threshold, and let's say it's 7.6, whatever, that's pretty high. But let's say it's 7.6. Okay. In this scenario, your amount of ogres in your blood, let's say it's 29, which is bad, right? There's not enough ogres. Okay, so if there's not enough ogres, then your body, as a compensatory method, will try to get rid of these knights. Right, so you're going to see that they're going to be below that 22 threshold if it's compensated. So you're going to get like a 19. So in this scenario, your pH is up, your CO2 is down, and your HCO3 is down. Which, again, if we look at our respiratory acidosis, it was the complete opposite, right? For this one, your pH was down, and then everything else up. Now for this, your pH is up, but everything else is down. That's it. It's really just like, I guess, once you find out if it's alkalosis or acidosis, it really writes itself, right? 7.6, that's up, 29 is down, 19 is down, right? The body is getting rid of these knights so they don't destroy the town, because there's not enough ogres to fight them. But yeah, that's basically it, guys. I will be making further videos on maybe the pathophysiology of this stuff, how it happens, why it happens. But right now, I think this is pretty good. This is my first video, so go easy on me. I'm going to try not to swear so much in the future, try to be a little more professional. But in the meantime, I just wanted to thank you for watching, and if you have any questions, please write them down. But yeah, thanks for watching. And I'm terribly sorry for my poor handwriting. You guys should see my my charting. Bye. Okay, thanks guys. Have a good day.